All right, episode 66. Hate cold calling? Don't want a door knock? Why don't you learn how to attract clients and not chase them? Today we're going to talk with David Huffman, CEO of Closings on Demand, as he shares how to build a proven, repeatable system to attract a consistent flow of ready-to-buy or sell clients. And we're going to get started right now.
Let's go.
Welcome to the only real estate podcast worth listening to, with your hosts Nick Good, Matt Kelderman, and Brian Force. Combined, they have 26 years of experience and have sold over 1,500 homes. Join them each week as they bring you everything you need to know about real estate. And now, here are your hosts, Nick, Matt, and Brian.
All right, episode 66, going on with some more Facebook technical difficulties. So
I want to point out right off the bat that my mug, which I did not bring, says VIP, and y'all's doesn't say anything.
I gave that mug to you.
So,
I wanted
coincidence?
to support where
we've got the core
Well,
mug.
you just got a suit. You're not supposed to show brands. That's why we do the cups.
Yeah.
Ah, that's even worse. They got plenty of money for lawyers.
All right, this one I'm really interested about this episode today. We're going to be joined. We've got David Huffman, founder and CEO of Closings on Demand sales system, and I'm really interested in learning more about this topic of attracting clients and not chasing them. Because what do? At least Brian and I. We're marathoners. We like
excellent foot speed.
Yeah. For being 255 pounds, I'm pretty fast.
Yeah?
I can run you down.
You're only 255 right now?
I'm 255.
Really?
Yeah.
You look even thinner.
That's solid, bro.
It is. It's
I
255.
think I got 227 one time, and it was not a healthy 227.
So, David Huffman is the founder and CEO of Closings on Demand sales system. He has taken his experience as a top producing realtor and incorporated into his highly efficient, result-focused implementation company. He's got over 19 years of real estate sales experience and 6 years of coaching agents. He has helped sole agents across the country build consistent, sustainable six-figure-a-month real estate business by teaching his step-by-step closing on demand process that gives agents the tools and systems needed in order to attain their desired income and production goals. Before we get to David, if you want to learn how to take 10 plus listings every single month, we took 15 in May.
Did you?
Took 15 in May.
How many pendings?
Awesome.
Pendings, we're actually at 33 pendings.
Nice.
33.
Man.
32. We
Very
had one
nice.
cancel yesterday. So,
okay.
So 32 pendings right now. And so if you're wanting to learn how to take 10 plus listings every single month, just go over to touracademy.com/take10. You'll sign up for a free webinar there. It will it will show you the leads and systems that we're using to generate 10 plus listings every single month right now.
Yep.
And then it'll prompt you to sign up for Tour Academy, which is $1 for the first month. And then the twice a month monthly masterminds, which, by the way, this last one we did on Monday was huge.
I thought it was
pretty
really
awesome.
good, man. And it really spoke to me because I know for some other people, like the minutia seems a little boring, but we talked systems the entire time, and that's like right up my alley.
But we had an agent on there sharing. I mean, it's a mastermind. It's not just us talking. It's a mastermind. We had an agent on there whose team does 265 closings a year, was showing his client focused system to really make sure that they don't fall through the crack and feel like they're getting lost.
Yeah.
Right. So let's bring on in David. David, welcome.
Hey guys, how are we today?
Good, man. Thanks for coming on. We appreciate you taking the time.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. It's a privilege, actually. You guys got a great podcast. Couldn't pass it up.
I appreciate it. That's all Derek.
It's all Derek, even the failures.
Even after the 3 times I failed.
The VIP.
That's technology.
Well, David, by the way, David doesn't do many podcasts. So he mentioned in that group, in that messenger, he's like he doesn't like to come on and do podcasts. So we appreciate you coming on and sharing with us. Kind of walk us through. I know that we read your bio here, but give us the non-fluff of who you are.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm very much so in the system side of things. I think just over my career and over the years, I've kind of learned kind of a different way to be able to get the desired result that we want in real estate. And a lot of people will go after it by hammering the phones and doing a different, things like that. But ultimately, I think I found some unique tricks and ways to be able to get the end result a little quicker in a little bit of less time. And we'll dive into some of those today as far as, kind of how to really create a more of an inbound marketing strategy in real estate.
Love it. Nick does the worst poorly timed big gulp of water you could have possibly taken. He almost choked. He was just like, "Oh, David's done talking. I need to say something."
Well, but here's the thing, because my company, David, the Good Home team, and even Brian, when Brian, before Matt and Brian partnered up, we are prospecting based, right? So I listened to a webinar that you just did recently with Brett, and it mentions, cold calling, circle prospecting, that stuff can work, but is it really the best use of your time when statistically speaking it has a very, very low conversion rate, right? You got to spend more time in it to actually get that return there. So what had you really focused on starting to build these systems? Because you've been in the real estate business since, I think, 2002. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Wow. So 2002. Have you always been more of that inbound side, or were you a chaser that learned to attract?
Yeah, I would be lying to you if I said that I was always an inbound guy. Still, nothing replaces the phones at the end of the day.
Sure.
But I think we're trying to continue to leverage technology and get better at being able to give people more of a reason to do a couple things. One is just to return your phone call or to return your text, just to start the dialogue with them. Then after that, we want to kind of give them a little bit more of a reason as to why they would want to get on the phone with you and communicate with you. Then, of course, we want to give them a really good value proposition as why they would want to meet with you. And then, of course, then it's why they would want to work with you. So building offers at each one of those stages, what I call almost like irresistible offers, or almost like IQ test, that they'd almost be stupid if they didn't call you back because you told them that you had a $100,000 house that's 10,000 square feet that's available. Like if they wouldn't reply to that voicemail, then they're probably not going to reply to anything else.
Right.
And so just kind of instilling that value proposition is what I always did. But mine was always online leads, mainly IDX-based leads, like everybody once IDX was released, like 2003. And but it just really worked on those offers at every stage. So that way I didn't have to make as many phone calls. And it wasn't just that I was checking the box that, hey, you know what, I made 100 phone calls today. It's more checking the box of how many people that I actually communicate with and having a better chance of getting more of those people to actually want to return my calls.
Sure. Well, here's the thing. This is a hypothetical kind of 10,000-foot view, but you almost make it sound so easy, right? To create compelling offers, all those types of things. These are the things that we really struggle with in real estate. My day almost, outside of helping and mentoring and coaching agents and all those types of things, I sit down in the morning and I am a systems guy. I pull out my laptop and I say, how do we make this better? How do we create more opportunity? How do we make things more seamless? How do we create better material, better marketing, everything more seamless, make the flow better? What does the process look like for you of just kind of go back to what you were just saying a second ago? What does the process for you look like of creating a compelling offer that converts at a high level? That top of the funnel where you go, okay, now the system starts here. I feel like that's probably where a lot of agents really start to get stuck, and then they give up on their nurturing, and the lead generation suffers and all of that. What is that process? Is it just trial and error? Is it more calculated? How do you start the top of the system?
Well, I'd say that's probably one of the reasons why you're successful as you are, because you're always looking at that,
Sure.
That compelling offer, that value prop. For me, it's always being focused on giving the client what they really want. Okay, so let's tell me if I go too deep here, but let's talk about buyers first. What do buyers really want? At the end of the day, if they're a buyer, they obviously have not found what they're looking for. They're
Sure.
still looking for inventory. And one of the greatest successes to Zillow is that they have inventory that nobody else has on their website. So It's an attraction piece. People still think they might find something that's on nobody else's website that's on Zillow, even though ours is updated every 15 minutes. That's not good enough compelling offer. So what that teaches you is that inventory, or having additional inventory that nobody else knows about, right, can create a little bit of an irresistible offer that they could want to do business with you, or want to at least communicate with you and see what homes that you have that nobody else knows about. So one of the things about buyers is really coming up with a strategy that in a quick amount of time you can literally pinpoint additional inventory that nobody else knows about.
Yep.
What that also does is kind of help separate you from what I just referred to as a traditional agent. Just what are you doing different? What are you offering different? And starting with that and creating a process for your buyers to be able to bring in more additional motivated sellers than anybody else knows about. There's a process to be able to do that, but that's one of the first things that I would focus on, at least for the buyer irresistible offer.
100%. And just to get real actionable, because I love this conversation because it's I need to be scribbling down notes like Nick right now. It reminds me of something that we used to do as well, which was a compelling offer that we created. We would send out a lot of direct mail. This was back when direct mail was huge. And we get a lot of responses from sellers that were like, well, I mean, if you have a buyer that's ready to go right now, then I'll sell. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't, but if I can find one, what's your price, and are you legitimately? They don't want to list right now, but at the right price or whatever. So we would just keep them all in an Excel file, or I guess a Google Sheets file, and that just became basically our shadow inventory, right? Then we would run Facebook ads for off-market properties, right? And it was legit, it was real, it took us no extra effort. We were already sending out direct mail to look for listings. Except instead of trying to handle all of these objections and force people to list that really weren't in the market, we just said, okay, if we can't have a real, substantial conversation about you actually being motivated to sell, what else can I do with this conversation? Well, I can create a shadow inventory, and whether or not you take the offers that people make you or whatever, it still becomes a separate marketing piece for me and a value add for my buyers and a compelling offer. So a lot of times we have the resources already to create really, really good, compelling offers. We just need to put the pieces together, so that was a big aha for me.
So you were creating that inventory to be able to have the opportunity to run Facebook ads, to be able to get leads from Facebook ads based upon that opportunity. Mm-hmm. In this case, we're doing it a little bit differently, which is great because you're doing it to give a legitimate reason, for the value proposition on the Facebook ad. We're actually going out with a buyer campaign and saying, hey, if you haven't found the house you're looking for in the area that you really want to be in, for the price that you want to pay and the features that you really want, which is basically every single buyer, then maybe my VIP buyer program or whatever they want to call it would be of an option to you or a benefit to you. And they're like, well, what does that mean? And then we kind of go through a process of explaining to the buyer what it looks like to work with our client or our agents compared to a traditional agent. Traditional agent will just find you everything that's on MLS and all these places. We do that, plus we do this, and plus we do this, which brings in additional inventory for you to be able to choose from. Is that something of interest to you? And then generally for leads, because with leads, we don't have any rapport necessarily built with them. We've got to give them an additional reason in today's world as to why they would want to work with a particular agent, because it's no longer good enough in today's market that, hey, I got them on the phone, now there's a good chance I'm going to be able to convert them, because usually 3, 4, 5 agents have probably gotten them over the phone over the course of their 90 to 180 days they've been looking for a property.
Right.
So, David, you mentioned in the webinar that I listened to this morning, you had mentioned to your audience there that you're funneling people through. Basically, when a lead comes in, you're funneling them down to getting them to do, for lack of a better term, like in the internet marketing world, a strategy call.
That's
right.
Great.
So when a new lead comes in your system and in your sales system, are your agents calling those people right away, or is their initial phone call touch point, or do you let the system work until they've raised their hand and asked for a call?
So I say it's a combination of both. Like I said, we're still not 100% not making any phone calls, at all. But really where that strategy comes into place is that we're still getting leads, mainly via Facebook because it's still the cheapest. We're still getting leads kind of like everybody else does, between $5 to $7 for a good phone number, et cetera.
Yep.
But generally with that lead, the agent has to call to be able to convert. They have to hope that their email campaign converts it, or they hope that maybe if they have a text messaging campaign converts it. So all three of those resources, including even Facebook ad retargeting, a part of that we're changing as to give them a reason as to why that prospect would want to watch this video that the agent has made that creates what we call their value proposition, their value video, that explains to them how what they do might be able to help them with their problem. In other words, for a buyer, the problem is haven't found the right property for the right price.
Right.
Seller problem is how do I really in today's market maximize the dollar amount of the check at closing? And so if you've tried the traditional way but you want to learn a new way, come watch this video. That video then is a percentage of those people will watch that video. It's very scripted, and it's kind of like an ever webinar. It's just a VSL basically on a landing page, about 5 minutes long, with a good call to action at the very end that gives the prospect a reason as to why they would want to book a 15-minute strategy call so they can see how these programs could benefit them. And that sets up the sales process, in my opinion, so much better, because now they're asking for additional information from you instead of you having to call them and try to talk your way through the phone or through the door to be able to convert them. So that eventually will have basically a cost per appointment. Eventually we'll know what that cost per appointment is, which will allow us to scale Facebook ads to that even more if we really want to. And there's a lot of numbers inside of there. Then of course it spits out eventually a cost per closing as well.
And you had mentioned the problem with the real estate industry, maybe just in the entire, just business style industry alone, is that we've gone in the direction of just becoming a lead hoarding or lead generating machine, which is about the number of leads versus quality.
Sure.
So are you using mainly this in Facebook lead forms because it's still a cheaper way to get there, or are you finding other strategies for your lead generation methods that are working?
So you're right. There's two approaches. One would be is you would think you would pay a higher cost per lead to be able to get a better qualified lead. I'll be honest, I haven't found a way that has a funnel that's going to spit out 100% cost per closing of like $1,000 or $1,500
Sure.
or $500 with no phone calls made, no nothing, all that kind of stuff, completely automated. So we still stick with getting as many leads as possible because that still gives us phone numbers.
Yep.
We then give the value prop or the call to action, on the Facebook ads is all about the way we deliver any of those deliverables is all going to be via text. So that way, at least we know we have a good phone number.
That
and
makes
then we
sense.
do a little bit of no more than 3 questions. So we're not worried about the bot and doing all this kind of stuff. I just don't like it. I think it's impersonal and what have you. But we get a couple questions, get them talking. And then we actually have our own software that the agent then can kind of pick up with that text message and kind of continue on the conversation. And then we have a process really from that point. But to answer your question directly, I still think just if we're really working on getting good phone numbers between $5 to $7, letting the retargeting, email, and text campaign get the conversation started to the point where we can qualify them. Once we qualify them, really understand their time frame, depends on what the next action is that we want to do with that particular prospect.
It's funny that you say that. I want to jump back there for a second and just kind of get your opinion. You have a lot of automation, and I like that the deliverables are all text message because it verifies the phone number. But you tend to shy away from bots. Do you sort of feel, like you said, that was impersonal? I kind of feel like the entire bot persuasion is really stalled out. It was really, really hot for a second, but I tend to agree. Do you? I know that a lot of agents are still kind of trying to go that route with their automation, with bot messengers and things like that. Do you feel like that's just something we should? I feel like it takes the interpersonal nature out of it. Do you feel like that's something we should just sort of try and, I guess, avoid? Or I just don't think the automation is, like, AI is not there to make it more personal, right, or feel more personal. It almost feels more like sly broadcast to me right now, where everybody's kind of caught on. Are you trying to encourage people to just kind of stay away from the bot, the bot deal?
I do. And the 2 or 3 questions that we're asking them via text are not qualifying questions. Like, we're not really trying to understand motivation and time frame and like set them up, get them to set themselves up for us. It's really more just to get some dialogue going for them, ask them a couple of questions based upon what the lead generator was to really kind of clarify some things. And it gets them communicating and allow the agent then, like I said earlier, the next value prop is to give them a reason as to why they would want to get on the phone with the agent. So that gives the agent the opportunity to create a compelling offer to be able to get them on the phone, a reason that they would want to get on the phone with them, and then it goes down our process really from that point forward. So yeah, mean, I guess I'd turn the question back around and say, would you buy from an agent when you knew that they were, just a stupid bot, kept asking a bunch of questions and stuff?
Yeah.
I would. I'd be pissed off. I hate that with Xfinity that I just bought. You know? So that's just my opinion, though.
So is the secret sauce in this not just the system itself that you've designed and that proprietary system for the agents that are in your company, but are you noticing is that extra oomph, that the retargeting campaigns, is that's really what's setting it apart?
Yeah, because in today's world, let's just analyze it. If you have a lead that comes in, okay, you have a couple of ways that lead can be converted. One way is for you to call them and get them on the phone. One way is you to email them, right, and they will reply and whatever, or maybe you text message them. But really, other than that, that's been the drip campaigns throughout the time. The good thing about social media and retargeting side is that it can literally provide value and remind them of basically what I say, your name and real estate over the course for up to 6 months. The good thing about that is that in our industry, we're very unique in the fact that not everybody that, even if they wanted to buy today, could they buy today, right? Even if they wanted to sell today, some couldn't sell today, even if they got max price for it. So time frame is a big thing in our industry that I harp on all the time, and understanding the prospect's time frame. Because then that should judge what you want to do next with them. So more than likely, most agents are out there getting leads and trying to find people looking to start the process of buying or selling today. They're not as focused on the ones for tomorrow. Well, most of those leads are tomorrow per se.
Yeah.
And so in this case, with retargeting side of things, staying in front of them, we teach basically at first run 5 retargeting ads for the course of the first 12 months. And even if they see them 7, 8, 10 times, it still reminds them about you and your name and real estate and what you do, whether they even choose to watch it or not. It's still doing its job. And it's so cheap. Most retargeting campaigns can be as little for most people as $1 a day.
Yep.
So much cheaper than even buying a CRM and coming up with, what kind of email am I going to send out this month or this week or whatever.
So true. And that's something that I think I could spend an eternity talking about retargeting and that type of stuff, but for our audience who maybe isn't familiar with that, can you expand on maybe the difference between an initial ad and a retargeting ad and how effective that can be?
Yeah, so I'm sure most people have heard about drip email campaigns, and what you're doing is you're dripping content via email that may or may not get read or opened or anything, or even sent. You're dripping on them to try to give them a reason as to why they would want to reply or call you back. Retargeting or Facebook ads in itself is really more of a lead generator, in our opinion, that we're just out for a good phone number of a raised hand in the marketplace. So the first thing for the lead generation side is to create true leads, names, phone numbers, and email addresses possibly. But once you get that, then you kind of want a way to be able to nurture them that is more guaranteed, and Facebook retargeting will do that. So pretty much on any Facebook or Instagram social media platforms, you can set up retargeting campaigns super cheap, because Facebook doesn't have to use their logarithm to be able to find the person. We already know who they are. You can even upload your current email address database and use that as a target audience for retargeting as well. But it's a way to nurture and drip on somebody where they really can't get away from it for the most part. But it just keeps you top of mind, top of thought. And with our strategy, at least 1 or 2 of those ads is really a video and giving them a reason as to why they would want to come and watch that automated value video. So because we're building that rapport, or we want to build that rapport, because in today's world, everybody's getting leads. I think, what was it, 2018 or was it 2017 numbers? Zillow sold 125 million leads. There was only like 6 million homes sold, 12 million sides.
Yeah, kind of gives you a pretty good insight on the conversion rates on a lot of things, but that's a crazy number, dude.
But that doesn't even include Boomtown and Commissions Inc. and the rest of it, right? So
and
that's just
Facebook ads and
So we're all fighting for the same pool. We're all in the same pool, right? Yep. It's just Zillow has that bigger budget. So and on the topic of budgets, what would somebody in order to build this attraction based method? Right. What would somebody need to look like if you're a new agent, or you're wanting to increase that business? What would a good sustainable budget be?
The Facebook ads themselves, I mean, really what we were out to try to find is what is your cost per closing. It generally takes us about 90 days to really understand, based upon your offer and your ads, your retargeting campaign, your follow-up sequence, et cetera, what that cost per closing is. But once we know that, then it's almost to the point of how many transactions per month do you want to execute. But I would say at the minimum, I mean, people in today's world can get in for like $100 a month. I mean, it doesn't have to be a ton, just to get some leads coming in. But I think the average for us is around $200 to $400 as a cost per closing. So if you're really trying to get another transaction here, then probably between $200 to $400 a month at the most would be the budget.
I think that you touched on something that I think is a really, really good point. Is I think a lot of us try to buy our way out of the nurturing process, meaning that we want to generate better leads, not more leads, and then build systems to nurture those leads, right? You can get in, like you just said, you can get in the Facebook ad game with retargeting and everything for $100 a month, right? You're going to generate leads. It comes down to what you do after the lead is generated, right? If you can generate quality leads, and especially through retargeting, you're usually going to get good phone numbers. They're in your world. But Zillow, that's a perfect example. Zillow, the most viewed real estate website on the planet, generated 125 million leads last year, and only 6 million homes sold or something like that, right? So not every lead is ready to go right now, right? The fallout, or the place where people fall off, is not in the lead generation process. It is in the nurturing, the follow-up, all of that to get them to the point where they become a client instead of a prospect, right? So how do you, I guess, kind of take us a little bit further into it? What does, as far as closing us on demand is concerned, what does that nurturing process, that build out start to look like? After you've got a verified lead, good phone number, we're going a little bit further down the rabbit hole now. How does that build out and testing process sort of look like?
Yeah, so obviously at every stage, so we have a lead, so we have a name and phone number of a raised hand in the marketplace. We don't know anything else other than that. Maybe it came in off a potential buyer. We don't know if they're contingent. We don't know anything. So strategy one, obviously, is to get them on the phone, call them, right? So that can always be one option. The nurturing part helps as well. But I said earlier that the time frame is the biggest piece. So we're one at each stage, from the voicemails, from the text to the emails. We want to give them a reason as to why they would want to work with you, or why they would want to call you, why they would want to communicate with you. At text and voicemail, I think it's very important, like at text and email, it's very important that you're just trying to get a reply, right? That's all we're trying to do. We're not trying to go from to email and text all the way to phone call, because that's a little bit shaky for people, right? So we're just trying to get that reply. If it's a voicemail, we're obviously trying to get them to call us back.
Right.
So I think understanding those stages and really what the call to action is at each piece is very important. Then from that point, once we have them on the phone, the biggest thing an agent can get better at, or good at, is understanding the prospect's time frame. Getting better at understanding when that prospect is really going to make that move. And then based upon that metric will determine what you do next. The biggest mistake you can make as an agent, I think, is asking for an appointment or going after an appointment or insinuating as if you want to meet with that person if that person's not looking to start the process in the next 30 days.
That's
our metric.
Advice.
So, anything more than 30 days, then we don't want an appointment. We just want to continue giving value to the point where we feel they would want to answer our call when we call them back in another 2 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever. We teach a process with those people how to challenge the time frame. As you guys know, somebody says 6 months, they buy in 3.
Sure.
So we'll teach them to ask a question. So if I were to find that right property that matches the criteria you're looking for, the area you want, and the price point that you want to be in, but if I find that in the next 2 or 3 months, should I call you and let you know about it, or just not bother you?
It's a killer question.
It
right?
really is.
So that way, what we're getting better at is really kind of understanding, getting better at using our gut a little bit, but understanding kind of like that prospect's time frame. Then from the point of that, depends on what we do next. If they are looking to buy or sell or start the process in the next 30 days, then I require our clients to have an appointment set. Appointment could be for anything, but set the appointment. But it needs to be face-to-face, because at that stage, you're trying to take a lead, you've got to build rapport. So we teach the value proposition of what's important to the prospect as to why they would want to meet with you or meet with our client, with the agent. And I think that's important because most agents are still trying to hide behind, well, they're not pre-approved. Okay, great. So now they're over there talking to them about how great their lender is. I'm like, homie, you hadn't even sold yourself yet. And you're over here trying to sell Billy that's your favorite loan officer. Take a step back, sell yourself first, get in front of them, build that rapport, and that'll even help you get them over to your favorite loan officer as well. Oh, by the way, you're not selling Billy, you're selling yourself, which is ultimately what you're in business to do. So we teach like those metrics to really understand kind of how to get better at it. Motivation has a big role into this. Motivation and time frame is something I say a lot, but that's that next step for us. And then keeping those appointments set with all of those people looking to start the process in the next 30 days, no matter what. If we've showed them everything in MLS, we don't take the foot off the pedal. We keep setting another appointment the next week, even if we don't know what we're going to show them yet, because that keeps them engaged in the process and keeps the ball moving forward. They know what that next step is. As well. So we kind of have those little metrics kind of set out. We have all this really in a blueprint that kind of, visualizes it for our clients. But at each stage of those, it's always about a value proposition to get them to do what you need them to do next in your process.
It's interesting, too, and I hope a lot of real estate agents heard what you said. One, about the 30-day thing. I think dealing with newer agents or agents who are new to setting appointments, that's a question that Brian and I hear a lot. Like they don't know when to set the appointment. Give them a hard day. If they're more than 30 days out, you don't worry about the appointment. You're still in the nurturing process. And then on top of that, something we haven't had an opportunity to talk about on the show a lot because we haven't really talked about this is every real estate agent should be happy that automation doesn't convert into closings. Because the reality is Zillow and Amazon can outspend all of us.
Out of a job
and
fast.
all if it took was a bot messenger to convert to closings, we would all be screwed.
100%.
Right? So and Brian's even went so far on our team to send our automation up to where we don't have templated text messages and emails that go out for most of our leads. The agents get a reminder of here's a text message or email you might want to send at this time, but also read it to make sure it makes sense for where the client's at in the process and your previous communication with them as well. And I think as real estate agents, we're always looking for something to make our job easier, and we feel like automating the relationship. You should automate everything before the relationship. The relationship should be the thing that you are hardcore all in on.
That's the biggest thing. I know agents that are trying to get into the messenger bot world that don't even have a transaction coordinator. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I don't even understand. You're going to pick up earnest checks and you are using bot messengers? Like, I don't know where your priorities are at right now, but it's out of whack for sure.
So David, what are you finding? So all this, with you guys put it together and put a bow on it. Where do you find that most agents, where's their break in their system that they're messing up on this, right? They can hire a Facebook lead generation company that would probably do retargeting. Where's the break in their system that you're finding that number one mistake that they're making?
Love that question.
Number one. Oh, great. Here we go.
List the top stupid things agents
exactly.
do.
Like Letterman's top 10.
Yeah. I would say, leads are a dime a dozen to get. I mean, let's back up one more step. Sphere of influence, past clients, always a good source of business. It's just slow growth. It's inconsistent. You never know when you get the referrals, but it's still there. You're still going to work on that. So next phase is to get leads. I think the agent needs to change kind of their mindset or their KPIs of what they're really focused on with each stage from that point forward.
Yep.
And so it's that conversion piece, but the conversion piece is not reading a script to be able to get them to want to book an appointment. So I always tell everybody, where the industry takes you here, we're going to take you just one step deeper.
Right.
So if you're sitting there trying to set an appointment with people, I'm going to teach you first, how, if you want an appointment or not. Basically, if they're ready for an appointment or not. And then if they are, then we want to teach you how to give them a really good reason that's important to them, not to you. Okay. It ain't about holding the key, because every agent can do that. It's not about just because you happen to get them on the phone anymore. That's not good enough. We've got to give them a better reason to want to meet or, use you. So it's just that one step deeper, that one layer deeper. Another example is, oh man, I called 100 people today. I'm like, great. How many people did you talk to? Well, I talked to 3. Awesome. Set any appointments? No. Okay. Did you put any names on the board? No. And I'm like, then what the fuck did you do? I mean, it's great because they're checking off the box that they called people, or they're checking off the box that they left a voicemail, but they need to check off the box of what are they saying on those phone calls, and check off the box what are they really communicating on those voicemails.
I like that because essentially what you're doing, and I think it's something that we all do really well, is that real estate agent who goes home at the end of the day and puts their head on the pillow and be like, I real estated today.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Because they had this to-do list of horseshit tasks that they managed to knock all of them off. And probably the 15 people they should have talked to are still sitting there. They're probably scared to death to call that person because they know that person will probably pick up, probably ask them questions they're not prepared to answer, right? And we're like, and again, then at the end of the day, when ultimately you flunk out in 6 months, you can be like, man, I really tried.
Yeah.
I did everything they told me I was supposed to do.
Man.
And maybe you did, but you didn't attempt to skill up in the actual conversion side of things.
You were always subconsciously looking for the exit.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like, we've seen that pretty chronically throughout the industry. I think that's such a good point, right? If you're not constantly driving to become better at what you do and just sort of going through the motions, that's you are looking for the easy way out,
Sure.
I think.
Yeah,
So-
I think my
Go
statement
ahead.
would be really quick, Nick, is if you change the words that are coming out of your mouth, you can expect a different result. The words are so important in today's world. How you frame questions, how you get people to come up with what you want to tell them to do, but you ask a good question that gets them to come up with it on their own. Being able to get good at that persuasion really will make your job a lot easier in this industry because you're not going out there and just kind of getting upset because people aren't doing what they should do. And so I'll tell seasoned agents all the time, the first thing is, man, the first problem that we're going to have is that you know too much. You already know step 5 of what's going to happen if they go look at this foreclosure when they don't even have the cash flow to be able to purchase it. You already know that. But telling them that is not going to get them to say, okay, you're right, let's not look at it. Right?
Right.
It's walking them down that path by asking them good questions. And so I tell them at the very beginning is that's one of the main hiccups in your business is you know too much. You've got to kind of play a little stupid here. You got to get on their level a little bit and walk them through what we call an emotional journey. Walk them through that journey so they come up with it and have that aha moment on their own.
That is such a good quote right there. If you change the words that are coming out of your mouth, you'll change your results. Like, I love that.
When we
dude.
chop up the content from this, I'm going to make that like the
boom,
just boom.
Yeah, like I mean, here's the thing. Like, that's one of the things that we going back to Matt's point, we tend to bang our head against the wall with the lead gen and incoming leads and following up and all that type of stuff. We're very resistant to really honing our skills and trying different tactics, refining our delivery and things like that, asking great questions, all that type of stuff. We sort of tend to have this mindset. And this is, I would say that this is, for a little bit of a shameless plug for all 3 of us, all 4 of us, is I would say this is the difference between I got a sidetrack here. I'm looking at myself on Facebook Live now. My golf tan is bananas.
I noticed it at the office today. It's pretty ridiculous.
So bad, dude. I'm so sorry to everybody watching. You have to see this. I sort of think that this is kind of the difference between high-level brokerage training and really, really good, nuanced, high-level team training, right? A brokerage will tell you how to generate leads, but a good, solid, proven, systematic team will tell you how to convert them by asking great questions and bring them down that funnel. That's a huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
So, David, walk us through if someone wants to go. By the way, if you want to learn more about closings on demand, you can go to codmasterclass.com. That's not Call of Duty, by the way, Brian.
Dude, wouldn't it be awesome if it was just me and Nick and Matt playing C? We're like, we're just making a masterclass. Call of Duty.
Not Call
you
of
want to know
Duty.
how to get 52nd place in Warzone?
Talk to us.
So go to codmasterclass.com to learn more about David's closing on demand sales system. But David, as someone who's going to go over there, and what are they going to be? Are they prompted to watch a webinar? What would they expect when they go to codmasterclass.com?
So it is every webinar. It starts at the top of every hour, and obviously it's not live. But it is 4 main shifts that I think agents will either resonate with agents or they'll be like, I hate David. And either way,
honestly, that's fine though, isn't it? Right? Like,
Yeah, I mean, you know your audience, right? Like,
yeah.
And this is why I don't do many. I mean, I'm just being honest. This is why I don't do many podcasts and everything, because I run everybody through a funnel, a process.
Sure.
And I live and die by that process. But in that webinar, it really will share some different ways to look at 4 different really major KPIs in a residential real estate agent's business. And a lot of tricks and tips are inside of there. But again, most people want to call because they want to learn from somebody else. But a lot of that content that's in there's nothing really held back.
Sure.
At least for those 4 main shifts and stuff. They'll have an opportunity to book a call, of course, at the very end. But yeah, if that resonates with you, then let's have a call and talk a little bit more about what our program is, because our program isn't a coaching program. It's not about here's a course, here's a bunch of videos, step-by-step videos. We're an implementation company, and I think that's really where our industry has a lot of opportunities. Where what systems or programs are we doing as coaching companies to be able to ensure that our clients get everything implemented so they get the desired result. And that's really where our focus is as far as the software that we use to be able to make sure that our clients do get the whole process implemented and within a timely manner while still scaling their business at the same time. But there's a little accountability in place and everything.
And is this since you're an implementation company as well, can this replace any systems and tools that agents may be currently paying for right now? Because I always look for, all right, what can I replace that's an upgrade that, it may cost me a tad bit more, but I'm already spending X amount of dollars, so it's just that little gap difference.
So were one of you guys Remax?
No, Brian and I are KW and Nick's EXP.
Okay, so my old school Remax mentality is that we had to buy our own signs, we had to do everything ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. Our Arch Telecom number was all us. The brokers didn't do much for us. That shows my age now, so I'm talking about Arch Telecom.
Arch Telecom. I was about to call you on it.
But the idea from it is I don't need anything. Everything's inside COD, including the software. So the only thing else that you have to do is pay for Facebook ads, retargeting campaign, and a Twilio budget for voice over IP services. But we have the software to basically automate all of this. So all the landing pages, ClickFunnels is basically built into the marketing software.
Sure.
So, I mean, really there is no other third party. That's kind of new to us because we have leveraged, Boomtown and other resources depending on where the level is of the client.
Right.
In their marketing budget. But now we don't really need anything else. We have it all internal. And we just give it to our clients.
So what would
Nick tried to prompt a comment. He wrote something down. He was like, "That's what I just took away from this," and he pointed out his pen, and it's written in hieroglyphics.
No, it's not. That's easy to understand.
I'm looking dead at it. I can't.
What would be what's the type of agent you're looking for? Because the type of agents that we're looking for here at Tour Academy, are the one, it can scale up. We do a lot of business between our two businesses, but it's really that appeal to newer agents that are looking to increase their business. What would be the expected budget they would need to have working with closings on demand?
Yeah, I think we might be the next step after a new agent. But as far as the budget for Facebook and all that kind of stuff, I mean, that's really, we don't say a minimum of this per month or what have you. I mean, we're not a monthly cost to our clients or anything like that. We have one set fee. That's just what our cost is for our program. Everybody for 4 years has paid exactly the same price.
Yep.
It is what it is. We've just kind of gotten better at it over the years. But I would say the agent, the ideal client for us is probably that agent that's been in the business for 2 to 5 years or 25 years, that has been working mainly from sphere of influence, past client, really, really does a good job, knows they have more in them. They know they really have the capability and the desire to help more people, but they don't really just know how to be able to do that because they're already busy. Yeah. And they want to help more clients. Teams, from that matter, would be the team if they were looking for a better process to be able to manage their buyer's agents through.
Sure.
This is a really good way to have different metrics to be able to help your buyer's agents achieve what they're really looking for as far as income goals. But ultimately, the team leader also to be able to kind of scale, their business as well, because we only have so much time every day or every week. and we don't want to do this for the rest of our life. So that client that really wants to hunker down for a little while, for a couple of years, put some cash in, take that cash and invest it into residual income properties. That's what a lot of our clients have done. That's the fun part.
I think the agent that you've identified too is the agent who's already figured out that the gold is in the follow-up, right? Like that's not something that new agents get.
Sure.
Right? They don't understand that. They're looking for the leads that convert right now. They don't. I was having this conversation with an agent like midnight last night via Facebook Messenger. Like, if you're paying for Facebook leads and expecting them to pop tomorrow, like you just don't understand the concept of what you're trying to do. And there is a nuance to follow up and understanding that like I will get referrals. I will get business down the road. I have other right now opportunities, expireds, FSBOs, those types of things. This is the juice that for later, so I can talk to these people now, and then next year, when all of these deals start popping, now I went from 25 to 40 because of my nurture in 2020, right? Yep. And those are the agents who I think really get it, and they just, like you said, they just can't figure out the way to push through to that next lead gen source. And I know I struggled with that for years. And part of Brian and I's partnership that pushed me to the next level was just that he brought in automations, that's why you guys have had this whole conversation, in order to support an agent like me who is strictly relational, who has really no clue how to go out and source their own leads other than just hammering phones and being in relationship with people. So I really hope the agents who are at that 15 to 20 deal threshold understand that this is the type of thing that pushes you into that next level. Don't try to jump from 45 to 100.
Sure.
Try to go from 20 to 35. Right, like that's the natural progression of your transactions, and this is the type of product that helps you do that.
I mean, it's the same with anything, right? That's what a lot of agents don't get. Like 8% cash on cash return on your investments doesn't sound very good. Give that shit 10 years, and you'll be pretty happy that you know what I mean. Like, but we're very short sighted. I think the other good point you made is about team leaders, right? This is a product that for teams. Here's the thing: if you're a team leader with we are blessed to have 21 awesome agents, blessed and cursed because it is like a daycare sometimes. But if you don't have a universal KPI to measure everybody's working within the same system, it is very, very difficult to provide the kind of opportunity for each individual one of your business partners that you're trying to. I mean, your responsibility as a team leader is to help them hit your goals, right? They don't succeed, you don't succeed, and not having a system by which you can measure those metrics, where everybody's sort of on a level playing field as far as how things run. That's paramount for sure. So that's huge for a team leader as well.
So, David, to finish this up, COD Masterclass. I lost my train of thought here, but because I was actually thinking, here's where I was going with this. Is the system going to also help with those listing seller leads? Because actually, where my brain was going was like, shit, I need this. Yeah, right. I'm like,
me too.
I'm immediately like, oh my god, like how do I I'm going to go sign up.
Bro, 100%, dude.
I'm at least going to COD Masterclass, but I'm looking to continue increasing our listing flow. Right, we've got huge listing goals this year, which we're ahead of. Even with COVID, we're ahead of last year by over 34% listings taken. So what does that look like as we finish up here? We're running in the last couple minutes. What does it look like on the listing side that you can really help with?
Yeah, so the listing side is really what I just say, get better at doing our job. Think outside the box. There's two main problems with the way that most traditional real estate agents list property, that if we can get better at these two main things, that we can get our clients a better result. So we're always focused on the client, which the client is the buyer, the client is the seller. How can we give those people better result? And then we back in from that point to give them a reason as to why they would want to meet with us. And then, of course, then give them a reason why they would want to list with us. The two main things, though, that we give our clients a whole list of things to choose from. One is, on the seller side specifically, is to give buyers more of a sense of urgency. By sense of urgency, meaning to come in and see the property or increase their desire to want to see the property in a quicker amount of time. And no, I don't mean put in the property description, this won't last long. So creating that program or that process that gets them to think, man, okay, what do you mean I can't go see it now? Well, I want to see it now. Creating that internal desire differently, and creating that process to create more of a sense of urgency, because if you're in a 60 days on market, 90 days on market, average sell, sure, then that buyer generally on day one is really in the market. because most buyers are in the market for 90 to 180 days, right? So how do we get that buyer up off their couch and want to come in and see that property way quicker? So that's what the sense of urgency, by focusing on that, can help you attract that buyer a little quicker. Second thing is a fear of missing out. Those buyers that come in to see that property, how do we give them an internal desire that they're going to miss out on being able to get this property and help the seller at the same time get an offer even more quickly? So we create an irresistible offer for our clients, for their sellers, that creates what we call a SOP, or standard operating procedure, for those listings. They already have one, but we want to really help them, give us some ideas out of the box on sense of urgency and on the fear of missing out. That combined together, just like with Brett, this is how we became friends, because a year ago I said, dude, just try this, and taught him and told him, and then he went out and did it for one of his relatives, sold it in 7 days for $10,000 over list price, and luckily on that one he didn't even have to show the property. But was an average days on market of about 40 or 45 days, I believe. So just changing that process a little bit. We're not talking about coming soons. That doesn't do the seller any good, because it's not on full MLS. MLS is still the number one way people find out about property, right? So we've got to keep the sellers in mind and keep the buyers in mind, give them more of what they want, and then kind of everything else falls into place.
Sure. Perfect. So as we wrap it up here, go to codmasterclass.com and go check out the webinar that David has. Learn more about his closing on demand sales system if you're looking to increase your sales. Of course, go to the only real estate group worth being a part of. That's our personal Facebook group there, where David has. That's where David. We prompted him to bring him on the show. He commented on one of the posts there. So David, we appreciate you coming on, and go to codmasterclass.com.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate you guys putting up and doing lots of podcasts all the time. It's good for the industry.
No, man, it's fun for us. We get a front row seat to ask all the questions we want to.
Exactly, right? This is more of an educational tool for us.
It really is. Like, we go to our tour,
Smart guys.
Our tour mastermind groups, and we just we all leave there and we're like, damn, we took something out of it. We don't really care if anybody else got anything out of it. So codmasterclass.com, touracademy.com/take10. I got nothing else.
D. Take us out.
Good.